Yeah, dog. Welcome to R2R live stream number 27. My name is Thomas G. Welcome to the channel. Don't forget to smash that like button, drop a comment, and always remember, I'm not a financial advisor, for damn sure not a professional. This is cryptocurrency. You could get wrecked, so you got to do your research. Don't ever allow an influencer on any social media platform out there to influence you when it comes to cryptocurrency. You could get wrecked. And then for those people that are streaming in, tuning in through the X platform, make sure you go down to I'm going to hashtag everything right now. Hashtag Hydra, hashtag this and that. Make sure you like it, repost the video. That way you can work through your bags and get the story out there. What's the big story today? Well, Hydra, it's live. It's live. And you know what? This has to be one of the most, I would say, this is huge. All right. The success so far is crazy. And we're going to get into it in a second here. Let me just make sure I post this out on Twitter. Just did that with all the hashtags. So like and repost so people can come in and tune in from X. And let's get the show on the road. Okay. So Hydra goes live last night. It's live. Hydra, if you want to know all about it, we'll go into the white paper. But let me tell you something, people. We are heading into a zone in the next month, all the way to the end of the year, where there's going to be massive supply shock. So it doesn't matter if you're a whale or you're a guppy or anywhere in between. Everyone is going to feel like they don't have enough Titanx, and that's where the battle on the open market begins, and that's where the parabolic move begins because not only is inflation from miners being collected on Titanx drifting off to practically nothing to nothing heading into December, we have buy and burn built on Titanx protocols that are heavily burning these tokens. Hydra being, listen, let me go to the stats really quick, right? These stats were subject to change. And if we look right now at Titanx, app.titanx.win, and we go to the stats page here, guys, let's take a look if Hydra is updated here so far, right? Look how much Titanx it has, all right? It has yet to burn any, but it is waiting to burn. There's a reason behind that. They're not going to shoot their load right now and start burning tokens at the very beginning to give people, exit liquidity. They're trying to game it. They're going to save that for, soon to come. But there's almost 7.4 trillion Titanx has been used to mine Hydra miners, right? That's a lot. The circulating supply went from 70 trillion plus, with the addition of some other build on Titanx platforms that are utilizing the buy and burn and absorbing the Titanx off the market. It took about 7.4 trillion off the market into Hydra to create miners. That is insane. It did that overnight. This launched like roughly 12 a.m. So we're like 9 hours since launch. 9 hours since launch, and it's already at 7.4 trillion. Trillion, not billion, not million, not hundreds of thousands. 7.4 trillion Titanx has been participation from the users, people like you going in. Let's go to the comments really quick. And is the sound good? Can you guys hear me? Somebody said question mark sound. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear. Somebody's saying they cannot hear me. Oh my God, I hope you guys can hear me. Can you hear me now? Let me do a test really quick. Make sure in the settings. It shows that you should be able to hear me. Sound good? Sounds good. All right. What's up, No Spoon? Yo, yo, yo. What's up, 100X loading? Let's F and go. Titanx. Big day today. What's up, J Perry 014? Pound the like button. Go on Twitter. Repost. Like it. And hashtags. Put the hashtags. Okay. Work for your bags. West Side Ian, what's up, dog? Welcome. A-okay, this system feels good to be too good to be true. It really is. It's something we've never seen before. Okay, so looking at those stats, let's get back to Hydra. Let's get back to Hydra. And the exciting thing about Hydra is it's taking Titanx off the market to make these miners. So we saw the beginning of time when Titanx came out. You can use your ETH to make the Titanx miners. Every day the difficulty to mine goes up. Every day the price to pay for a miner goes up. 0.08% Ethereum. And then you had Hyper, which launched about almost 6.5 months ago. Same concept, but you use ETH. That ETH price doesn't go up, but mining difficulty goes up. All right, so that launched, and prior to that, you had Dragon X. So these three protocols, and then adding this fourth edition, and then you got all these other build on Titanx ecosystems, protocols as well. This one in particular takes the Titanx off the market to make the miner. So for example, right, you're looking at miner length, 88 days. That's just like Hyper. Max days on a Hyper miner is 88 days. All right. And then max power, 100. That would cost you right now $759 in Titanx. So just like the Titanx design, right? Where you pay the Ethereum and pay Titanx, but that cost to make a miner goes up with the price of Titanx going up, and it would go down if the price of Titanx goes down. But we just defeated the first boss as far as going past, the highest inflation day, and all the way into the end of the year where it's practically nothing, right? So we slayed that boss. And if you want to change the power and the length of time, you can do that. I do 88-day miners, but you can do and see the numbers change. A 10 power miner would cost you $76. ROI is 8,571%, and you can just change these numbers and do ladders and different price points. So change the power based off what your budget is and what you want to do, and you choose your length, right? I did one miner yesterday. I put that on my social media. I paid it was like $540. It's worth $653 in Titanx now as it stands. What I spent, right? Because it's going based. You see this number here based off the Titanx dollar amount. Based off ROI, if you look at the ROI, it would be worth $56,595. So we've seen that structure before. We're like, oh, crazy payout at the end of the road. But that was Titanx, the original, smart contract that came out. There's been Hyper and now this. So there's been simulations and trial and errors and things to give Jake and Eric and all the people involved in developing this the data they need to make things work at their highest capability. And what better time to do that after they slayed the boss as far as inflation? Like I said, it keeps going down from here. So 7.4 trillion Titanx off the market. And here's the thing. Right now, I'm set on making miners every day for Hyper, and I'm set on making miners every day for Hydra. Titanx is the token that is bonded with all of these tokens from these protocols. Everything is bonded with Titanx. So you got to look at Bitcoin, right? When Bitcoin experienced a bull run or a supply shock, that is soon going to happen with Bitcoin as well. There's not enough Bitcoin for everybody to buy. The market reacts and Bitcoin rises all tides because it's tied in with it. So Titanx is the Bitcoin of the ecosystem here. And people are looking at miners and going, well, there's going to be huge inflation with Hyper. There's going to be huge inflation with Hydra. Regardless of that, when Bitcoin went on a parabolic bull run, you know why Shiba Inu went crazy, even though it's got quadrillions of tokens? Because it's paired just like the rest of the market with Bitcoin, and everything is bonded to Bitcoin as far as the market. So it drags all the altcoins. So supply and inflation is not so much as a problem when you have Titanx about to perform at levels we've never seen before. Hart's law, all tides will rise together. Okay. So keep that in mind for somebody that's worried about, the inflation, because now that we look, what do we do to fight that? Well, the buy and burn has almost 6.5 billion Titanx here that is it's going to be called, and when they implement this, it's going to be called, and you look at the tab here with the question mark, make sure I have this on camera. This action is going to be called however amount of times they said it. The Titanx gets used to start Hydra miners goes here. So the Titanx used to make the miners goes here, and then it buys Dragon X off the market via Titanx Dragon X pair on V3 Uniswap, right? And the pool, and then from there, the Dragon X is then used to buy and burn Hydra. So just like what Hyper does via its smart contract for Titanx and the Hyper token. This is how people are going to be in a position in an environment where supply shock's going to happen, and we all feel like we don't have enough, and we're all fighting on the market to buy it, which rises the price. Here's the thing: if you don't feel like you have enough Titanx, playing these protocols is the way to ratio your position to grow that bag. Let me demonstrate. Prime example number one. Go to Dragon X. You're on Dex Tools. You come here and just simply type in one Dragon X and select the Titanx tab. The ratio is one Dragon X at this point gets you 10.77 Titanx. That's the trade-off. So if you got in before that ratio went to a 1 to 10, you've made more Titanx. Same thing with Hyper, which I don't understand why people are ignoring Hyper. The miners, listen, it came out 6 months ago, Hyper. And Hyper had a drought almost immediately because the price of Titanx went down. Remember, Titanx performs well, Titanx performs bad. The ship goes down together, right? And things it's all bonded. So right now, even though Hyper's only a $3.6 million market cap, $590,000 in liquidity. Jake said it several months ago when Titanx was at $11 million. It's easy to pump it to $30 million market cap. And let's take a look. Was he right? Oh, wow, it's 70 million. And that was pretty easy, right? With the supply shocks and the tokenomics and the buy and burn. So going back to Hydra, if you look and you're looking now, this ratio, type in one, let me go back to Hyper. So you type in for Hyper, and we'll look at Hydras in a second. One Hyper trades off 3.92 Titanx back. So that should start to go up, right? So get into Hyper miners now and swapping out Titanx to do that is going to ultimately bring more Titanx to grow your bag because you can't mine it anymore into circulation like you could before. That's over with. Those days are over with. It's done. It's a wrap. You can make miners, but you'll never be able to produce what you'll be able to produce like we did from the very beginning with the T rank and how it was all set up. So this can go one Hyper gets you 3.92 to one Hyper gets you 10 Titanx down the road. Now Hydra, right? And this is how you grow your bag. Hydra is going to be another way to grow your Dragon X position, which the Dragon X position we just saw is a 1 to 10 trade-off per one Dragon X, right? Per one Dragon X right now gets you the 10 plus Titanx. So as we look at Hydra, it now has a ratio trade-off of one Hydra gets you 12.75 Dragon X. Okay, so that gets you more Dragon X because it's now hyper deflationary, so it's hard to get. This is the only way to grow your position is playing the game here and participating in Hydra to ultimately take that ratio that you're getting to extend it out, getting more Dragon X for your Hydra, and then turning Dragon X and getting more Dragon X and getting more Titan X on the back end there for that ratio trade. And the end, ultimately growing your position like a hyper compounding. It's kind of complex, but you're compounding your position through playing these protocols. So if you had 100, let's say, million Titanx to start off with, you can end up 10xing that and ending up with 1 billion Titanx playing these right between the ratios. So that's the key thing, the key takeaway. And people are sleeping on Hyper right now, and they've been because it just barely went profitable. People are mining. You'll see that growing. But Hydra right now is just blowing away the numbers as far as what's already here. Then you go to the Hydra buy and burn. That'll be filled up as well. The amount of spendage will be adjusted. And then it has its Vortex. And the interesting thing about the Vortex, already has $703,000 in the Vortex here in Hydra. So there's a lot of money waiting down the road when this releases, and it's every 98 days. I think it just so happens that this 98-day payout falls on Christmas. It's either Christmas or Christmas Eve, but that's when it hits, right? And that is literally 10 days after the first miners start to come out. So you will have a buy and burn happening all the way until then, and then an influx of Titanx that is going to be taken off the market and used to buy and burn Dragonex. So if you go into here, you'll see the Vortex stores 10% of that Titanx that's used to make the miners, plus 18% of Dragonex bought off the market, and then the code sends the Titanx to be used to buy Dragonex, making that lot more scarce, and it's already hyper deflationary. And then it buys Hydra with it. Then the Dragonex gets used to buy Hydra and then burn it, triggers every 98 days. So you're not just getting into a Hydra miner where you're like, oh, wow, there's a ton of inflation coming out. This token is used to get more Dragonex, to compound your Dragonex, which is already hyper deflationary. These are all positions that weren't around when Titanx first came out, and we saw those massive gains, right? Between, the October, November, December, and into January. So these are just like a totally different environment here. You have a hyper deflationary token now, right? As far as Dragonex, Titanx is heading there. It should be forced in there no matter what by the end of October with X28 and everything that's happening here. So you have a lot of things going for you heading into 2025 where there ain't going to be enough Titanx. The burns is going to outpace the inflation by far. I would say starting in late October, going into November, December, it's going to get outpaced. It's trending to do that. All right. Vortex is Christmas Eve, so Christmas Eve, right? Seems like very few are ballsy enough to do a day one Hydra miner. We have learned. Yeah, you got to understand. People are thinking, oh, there's going to be a ton of inflation, right? Well, yeah, that's true. But if you hold on to that and you watch the ratios change due to the buy and burn mechanics, and then the price of Titanx should be going up by that time, it's going to multiply its value of Titanx 10x's. Everything's going to go, up with it a lot, and it's going to outperform it still for those reasons. And you're going to be able to trade off Hydra for more Dragonex and Dragonex for more Titanx than you originally started with, which duplicates X's on X's. Ultimately, all roads end with Titanx. You'll end up with more Titanx. Yeah, slob over bliss. Sup, Titan fam, getting those early Titanx max miners goosebumps today. Yeah, it's crazy to see this. And you said Christmas Vortex is Christmas Eve, great present Christmas morning. Yeah, that's awesome because the money that is in the Vortex that gets shifted over into what is the buy and burn. Let's see, the Titanx gets over to the buy and burn Dragonex, and then it feeds into this. It's already like crazy numbers right now. It's really a beautiful thing to watch happen in real time. I'll refresh it to see now it's at 6.5. Now, if we go back to Titanx, I can refresh the page here, and we'll probably see the stats go up from when we were just talking about it. And this number is raising little by little with Hydra here. So when it starts burning Titanx, this is going to take the lead. Dragonex is going to burn a bunch of Titanx with the ETH payout at the end of October. Hyper Vortex happens tomorrow in less than 24 hours or so. And then you have an entire ecosystem built around Inferno and Blaze. And then they'll forget like Helios and everything else that's soon to come. So when we look at things now, and we'll reflect to Mike Dean's Dune Analytics, right? This is a scary supply shock. that I've never seen in crypto personally. I don't know about any of you guys. I've never seen something like this. So I'm going into the unknown, uncharted territory. And it's exciting because look at this. When we're all eating around here about Thanksgiving with your friends and family, and then Black Friday happens here, I'll tell you one thing that's not going to be on sale on Black Friday, and that's Titanx. That's Dragon X. You ain't gonna get a Black Friday special. You may be able to go buy a big screen TV. You might even be able to buy your wife a diamond ring or a car, but you are not going to be able to go out there with this type of supply shock and everybody competing because they feel like they don't have enough Titan X and they want to produce more. And the way to do that is to play these, these hands that we have with Hydra, Hyper, and even Titan X, might go through a new mining cycle. We are in a position where Black Friday for us is going to be expensive in the crypto space because we could be, and if we're in a bull market, which I predict after the elections we will, I've been saying that, and ETH goes up, even without Ethereum going up, we're in a good position to do numbers. ETH goes up too because it's leveraged on that. Holy cow. Holy cow. Jamie X, LFG man, what's going on? I bought the Dragon X dip, my man. Rusty, hey gang, what's going on, Rusty? Welcome, welcome. When buy and burn gets released, it's game over. It really is. What's the best way to maximize Titan X to make Hydra mine or hold Titan X? If you want more Titan X, these are your ways to ratio in. I just talked about this. To ratio trade your way back into a bigger bag. That's why these exist. Because now at this point, their mining frenzy for Titan X is over. The hyperinflationary period, it's a wrap. It's going to go hyperdeflationary. So imagine when it goes hyperdeflationary, this asset takes off, but then you got Dragon X, it's already hyperdeflationary. How much more will it outperform Titan X even when Titan X is going crazy? That will go up. And then it's being burned, the Dragon X, by Hydra, the smart contract. Hyper's burning Titan X, and Hyper's being burned as well. So these options that you have amongst the, as far as the smart contracts, the two-headed monster, you have Hydra and Hyper, are going to be able to bring your positions on Dragon X and Titan X much higher to build those bags. And then, I mean, we know how much, and I just showed you guys here. Well, take a look at the ratio live. One Dragon X gets you 10.7 Titan X. So if you're building your bag using the Hydra to get more Dragon X, that's just more X's on X's, and you're building Titan X. All roads lead there. So it's incredible times. I gotta admit, like, this is stuff that we're seeing that I would have never, thought was going to be happening before my very eyes. It's new. It's very, very complex. Let's see. Jake kept repeating Hyper was compounding a machine, was a compounding machine, and most ignored him. You got to go back and watch his live streams, and yeah, he repeatedly told everybody like what the play is, what the play was, because even though miners were out of profit, and now they're back in profit, the trade-off with Hyper as it stands is a 1 to 3.9 ratio. That right there, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, is a beautiful thing, right? So, who wouldn't be happy about that? Who wouldn't be happy about that? I mean, by gosh, that's unreal, unreal. So, any questions? Anyone got any questions? I mean, I think I showed you guys mostly what's on and popping right now. The real the real fun happens here in 14 hours and 48 minutes with Hyper, and this for the very first time is going to be released, right? So the Vortex, this contract here with Hyper, and make sure I'm on the right tab, right? Has 1,117 ETH already. ETH already, right? And then it has 733,000 Titanx for the hyper buy and burn to burn hyper, making hyper more scarce, taking more out of circulation. As I showed you guys the other day, it's only 1 trillion plus tokens of hyper. And you got burn mechanics. So we're going to be able to keep up with inflation and possibly it's going to be a scenario where it won't matter when Titanx is taken off at this point. And then the Vortex in what 14 hours and 47 minutes, this 391 Ethereum gets put into this tab here, and however they adjust it, I mean, they could crank it up. They could set it to happen every hour, 2 ETH, 3.3 ETH every 2 hours, you know, and then the Titan X is going to get released into the hyper buy and burn. That's 270,000 Titan X that's going to be used here and triggered to use the Titan X to be bought and burned for hyper. So there's a lot of moving pieces here that are absolutely insane. Let's see, almost $6 million in Hydra buy and burn and Vortex. I know, right? I know, right? The correct address, I have it in the description of YouTube for Hydra, right? Hydra app.hydra.win is the correct address. So I think we're in a pretty good position, guys. I don't see, where you can go wrong from here. We're in the perfect time and period in time for this to do life-changing gains for people. And if you're looking for that type of opportunity, and you're worried about inflation, you got to remember, even Shiba Inu with quadrillions of tokens, it went up because there was a bull market and everything's bonded to Bitcoin. Bitcoin took the market with it. Titanx, everything in this ecosystem is bonded to Titanx. Everything will take off with Titanx. All the ships will rise together and fall together. So even with the inflation, it's being mitigated by the buy and burn consistently, with not only hyper, but Hydra, the smart contract, and then the Vortex is being released. It's going to be a perfect storm for getting more Titanx when it comes to ratio from Hydra to Dragon X to get more Dragon X, and then taking that Dragon X and get more Titan X, using Hyper to compound that ratio strategy to get more Titan X. It's really a dream. It's a dream. The dream scenario is they crank up all the buy and burns during a bull run, right? Are you burning all your Titan X for Hydra? I'm thinking that yeah, when miners come up, Hyper and Hydra. I want both opportunities is the way I see it. And what was I going to point out right now? I think it was kind of important. It was in my mind here. I was going to show you guys something. Let me see if I can remember what I was looking at. Oh, this. I wanted to talk about this. So going back to the Titanx platform, right? Just remember, guys, we have this here. It's going down because no one's making Titanx miners, but that can change obviously if Titanx goes up and ROI to mine is back in the plus, then people will make miners to feed this. But we got V1 in the back pocket, and I think with everything that's happening now, that can still sit there and do nothing, and everything else works within the system as far as Hydra, Hyper, and all the buy and burn on Titanx to do that. And the smartest strategy here is pretty much when there's no Titanx coming out from the end of November going into early December. If Ethereum is, 1.5 or 2x, who knows what it'll be? I assume it'll be up, right? It'll be at its highest for the year heading into December. Then this balance here will be valued at a higher amount. It's in the back pocket to buy and burn Titan X and whenever it's called upon, and it's just a beautiful thing. It's a nice little setup there where I think, okay, we're gonna see some magic happen at the right time. And I think the purpose of the V1 that hasn't been touched is it has 4,458 Ethereum in it as it sits. So imagine a 2x, it's a $20 million on the back pocket for the ecosystem to utilize at the right time. And by the time it gets triggered, whenever that is, and I assume when the price of Ethereum goes up, there's not going to be any inflation. So you're going to be competing with smart contracts for ownership of Titanx. Titanx is going to trade off between users and human beings and be mostly in the hands of smart contracts. I hope you realize that because inflation has come to a halt. For the majority of the tokens will be absorbed by smart contracts like Hydra, Hyper, and then the buy and burns for V1 and V2 on Titanx. And then all the other build and Titanx ecosystems that utilize buy and burning Titanx. We are going to be beat by smart contracts. It's going to be very scarce, which that's why I think when I did the poll the other day, let's take a vote. Where do you think we're going to be, people? That's what I said. What do you think we're going to be in an environment at the end of the year with all this happening? And people said 10x. The majority of people said 10x on Titanx, not understanding the ratio that's going to be going on and the environment we are in an overall market on crypto. So your 10x could be super extremely off and conservative versus, all right, well, let me pull a calculator up really quick. If we measure from the bottom and the scarcity that we're running into today, so the bottom would be like, we'll call it the bottom 6 zeros and a 1 6, right? And a 1000x from the bottom would be 4 zeros and a 1 6. So you got to think, if we're competing with smart contracts and smart contracts are going to start absorbing most of the supply while inflation's at its lowest to nothing, and then people are still leveraging to grow their Titanx bags, means they're putting it into these smart contracts to get back more, which is the only way. A 1000x would be 4 zeros and a 1 6 from the bottom. So you should probably, if you look at the math and based off like a 55,000x can happen after 2,000 days or 3,500 days if you really want to stretch it out. In this market, in peak bull market, I'm changing my numbers here, right? I had to have the calculator up. It wouldn't be crazy to say a 2500x, which would bring it to 4 zeros and a 4, is on the table because of the scarcity, because of smart contracts beating the humans to the punch and getting and absorbing all of the Titanx. And all those contracts do is buy and burn it for the other tokens. So it comes out of circulation. You're not going to see any other design or any other platform that's done anything close to this. And you get to enjoy these gains, in the near future. And I'm at the point where I'm like, bro, are you joking? Are you joking? Like, what's going on here? What? Did people realize? And that's why I copy and pasted someone's tweet yesterday. Nobody really responded to it because he had said, don't mine Hydra because it's got inflation. They're thinking the same mindset where you're thinking, oh, the inflation of Titanx was the cause of the downfall, right? But that was in an environment where Titanx was coming out and inflation was insane all the way up until just a few days ago, where we had the last experience for inflation coming out at its best. And now it's dwindling down to nothing. You can't compare the simulation of Titanx or even Hyper because Hyper didn't have a chance because Titanx was going down when it launched. This is a totally different environment. Hydra miners and hyper miners can't be looked at like you looked at what happened with Titanx and the ROI and what happened. Even though they're going to have high inflation like it did, there's all these buy and burn mechanics, and then Titanx will pull the price up of all the tokens because they're bonded. It's not like Titanx is going to do a 10x and Hydra is going to be like, oh, let me go 50% down. They're tied in. They're bonded, heavily bonded. That's Hart's law. And consider all the protocols building around Titanx. It's still not launched. I know, man. Ouroboros, Titan Farms, you name it. The sky's the limit. Flux, Vault, X28. This is out of hand. This is out of hand. This is out of hand. So, website, guys, don't forget Hydra.win. Let's do a quick refresh on the stats here. $5 million value as far as we'll take a look at the price of Hydra 2 right now. Remember, you shouldn't be buying this token. You need to be minting Hydra. Minting, not buying. So if you mint, right, the value right now is 3 zeros and a 1. Okay. So it'll kill zeros in the wrong direction at some point, but it'll be absorbed by the smart contracts, just as designed. Look at all this money sitting here to use Titanx when triggered to buy and burn Hydra. And Vortex is building. It's going to be a nice Christmas. It's going to be a nice Christmas. If you can hold on. If you can hold on, it's going to be a nice Christmas. So, any questions? Any last questions? I think we're at the 36-minute mark. Don't want to make the live stream too long. I've done like live streams every day. Did 2 yesterday. So, any suggestions on guests or anyone that wants to come from a Titanx protocol? Follow me on X, message me. I have a link tree there, so you can find me on Telegram. And love to get together and hear your build on Titanx ecosystem that's going to contribute to this, this crazy run we're about to go on. So pound the like button if you're on YouTube, subscribe, post notifications, repost, hashtag, like it on X, and join me tomorrow for another live stream where we go live practically every day. 9:30 a.m. PST. But what's tomorrow? Thursday? So Fridays are a little different, but tomorrow will be on time. Till next time, we shall do it again. Yeah, dog.